Hello, everybody, and welcome to Kyrus Has Friends, the show where I sit down with the people that matter to me the most, and those people are my friends. Before we get started today, if you want to, if you're feeling obligated, you can go follow me on my favorite social media platforms. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at The Vibe with Kai. You can also follow me on Snapchat and on TikTok at Kyrus Keenan. And if you want, you can visit my website, thevibewithkai.com, where I'm always posting blogs and videos and things that'll help you do good, feel good, be good, and live a good life full of good vibes. But enough about me. Enough about me and my good life and good vibes. Enough about me and my TikTok and my Facebook. And I'm sitting here with somebody that I met not too long ago. We just happened to cross paths, and I was like, I need to get you on my podcast right now, right now. And
That is so dope.
yeah, and now it's happening. Now we're filming. I'm sitting here with my friend Nicole Johnson, who is the host of the Found Down podcast, which you can get on any major podcasting platform. You can go listen to it. We're going to talk a little bit about that, which is a podcast. And I'm going to read, this is directly from the description. I love this. I didn't want to paraphrase here because I love this description. So the Found Down podcast is a podcast of untold nursing stories that are hilarious, dark, insane, and everything in between. I love that. That's like so cool. So she's the host of that. She's a registered nurse. She has a Bachelor of Science in nursing, and she is a critical care nurse. Nicole Johnson. Hi, how are you?
I'm great. Hi. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Now I'm on the East Coast. You are on the West Coast. We're filming this on a Sunday. Over here right now, it's probably, I would say, about 60 degrees and sunny. It's definitely fall type of weather right now. What is it like over by you right now? You're in Washington, right?
Yeah, I'm in Seattle, and it's about 55, maybe almost 60s. Very fall-y
Yeah.
out there.
Do you like the fall? Is the fall your favorite season?
Gosh, I'm the kind of person, summer's my favorite
Summer,
season.
I am too. Yeah, I'm a summer boy.
But I love all the seasons for sure.
Yeah. No, I'm the kind of person though, like even though I live, in New Jersey where we get all four seasons, if I would happily move to like San Diego or Phoenix or something where it's just like hot all year, or like just nice all year. I'm done. I'm done with snow. I'm done with all of that. I can't do it anymore. I lived 33 years of my life. I'm okay to leave now.
Yeah. The only thing is like every January or February, I'm like, why do I still live here? Why do I still live here? But then spring starts to come around, and then
Yeah.
and I'm
And then
like, oh
it's all worth it at that point. You're like,
yeah,
okay, all right, I
yeah.
remember. Yeah. Well, I'm so happy that we got to connect today. I want to get right to it because like I have so many just questions and things I want to pick your brain about, especially in regards to, I don't know if you heard or not, but there's a pandemic going on. I don't
So
know if
that
you've heard. Yeah, I don't know if you've heard about this or not. So I do want to talk about that. I want to talk about your podcast. I want to talk about you in general. But first things first, let's just get it out the way now. COVID-19 is a hoax, right? It's not real. It's not a thing, right? It's all fake.
I guess we have to end the interview.
But here's the scary thing. There's a lot of people that truly think
It's
it is
crazy to me.
that it's not real.
Tell that to the 22-year-old who died of it. The
Hmm.
29-year-old that died, the
Hmm.
41-year-old, the 44-year-old. I mean, like it's not real. It's real. It's totally real.
Right.
And it's scary as F. It's scary.
Yeah,
Scary as fuck.
yeah, and here's the thing. So like one of the things that like, because I speak with a lot, I'm very fortunate that I get to speak with a lot of people just in general, and I've heard like the gambit of just so many different thoughts and feelings on this entire thing. And one of the things that I hear from one of my closest friends is that, hey, COVID-19, it's just like the flu. The mortality rate is low, so you don't have to worry about it. It's going to be fine. Blah blah blah. If you get it, you'll be fine. Why should people get rid of that thinking right now?
It's 100% not the truth at all. It's not the
Mhm.
truth. The truth is it's killed over 200,000 Americans, which no flu season ever does. One of my good friends who was on my podcast said in like Vietnam, there were, I don't know, 50, 75,000 vets who died during the course of Vietnam. And here we are, 200,000 Americans in the span of less than 6 months. Like that, the flu doesn't do that. And I would say that, people are obviously very vulnerable, or that we worry about the vulnerable patient populations for sure, but you actually don't know if COVID is going to screw you over and affect your life for the rest of your life. Like we don't know the fallout of COVID yet. Like we don't know, people after they thought they recovered from COVID, they woke up and they stroked out and they died.
Mm-hmm.
Like we don't know the full ramifications of the disease currently, and then and obviously you don't want to get it. You
Right.
100% don't want to get it.
Right. So there's some times when I'll hear people say, if you get COVID and you pass away, it's not because of COVID. Like COVID doesn't kill you. It's probably because you have some sort of maybe like pre-existing condition or things like that. What
Wrong.
is that? Is that the wrong way to think about it?
That's a totally wrong way to think about it. What you die of is, I think it's CO/SARVS. It's this COVID pneumonia that you only get it if you have COVID. And then you end up with multi-organ failure. I mean, you can end up with multi-organ failure, but essentially it's a really terrible pneumonia that, makes it really difficult for you to breathe. So anyway, I would say that that COVID kills you.
Right. And what I don't understand, I think, is that like people are just kind of finding ways to refute facts and science. And I don't know, I don't fully understand that there's just a refusal to accept factual scientific information. Do you come across that I guess argument a lot with like people that you treat or people that you talk to?
Luckily, no. I mean, I think I'm in a little bit of a liberal bubble here on the West Coast. It seems most people believe it, but occasionally, we get people that don't think it's that serious or don't want to abide and don't want to wear masks. And at work, our policies are everybody has to wear a mask, and especially if they're trying to see their loved one. So anyway, luckily I don't encounter that, but
right.
Too often it does infuriate me.
Right.
That people refute the science of it. The masks work.
Right. Yeah, I was going to ask you. So obviously one of the biggest. I don't know how this is a political thing now, but just why do you feel people are so against wearing masks when why is this even a topic of conversation?
I think people think it's like a violation against their freedom, their rights. No one's. We have this thing in America. Like everyone's feels so entitled, and no one's going to tell me what to do, and I can do whatever the F I want. And I think it just comes from the sense of entitlement. Yeah.
Why are masks important?
Because they work. Listen, I've taken care of COVID patients. I didn't get it. I'm around people all the time, but we're in, because we couldn't stop the way that we worked together, right? We still have to work in close proximity with one another, and we all have to wear masks. And guess what? We haven't had any, none of our staff at where I work have transmitted the virus from patients. And so, but essentially masks, it prevents you from giving COVID to anybody else. And if you're also wearing a mask, both people are protected, but it only works if you, who might be the asymptomatic carrier, actually wears a mask.
I kind of laugh sometimes, and because I try to always see things from other people's perspectives. That's one thing that my parents taught me, in regards to just a lot of issues that are divisive, especially in the United States and around the world, is to always see things from the other person's perspective. And I pride myself on my ability to do that. But I got to admit, I've been struggling with this one specifically, because to me, this isn't about you, right? This isn't about you.
Right.
And what you're doing is protecting other people. You may feel fine. You may have it and feel perfectly fine. That's great. Cool. You may not have, you don't know, but it's not about you. It's
Right.
about finding ways to protect other people. And so it's hard for me to hear the other side of this, because it's always about, to your point, what you just said about, well, it's violating my rights as an American. It's not. It's just like wearing a seatbelt or going the
Yeah.
speed limit.
Right.
You're protecting other people.
I just don't understand it. It's 100% insanity to me. And
Hmm.
I don't completely think it's a political issue, because I do
Hmm.
know people that are conservatives and that they do believe that masks work,
Yeah.
um, but for whatever reason, you know, it's just some sort of propaganda out there
Right.
that this is that it is an infringement, but it isn't. It
Right.
isn't. I
Do
mean,
you?
if I can do it
I'm sorry.
for
Go ahead. Hmm.
if I can do it for 12 hours a day,
Hmm.
someone can do it for when they go to the grocery store.
Right. Right. Do you feel that people are overreacting
And
to
which way?
so in the way of I'll ask it both ways. Do you think that people are overreacting to the severity of it at
No,
all?
no. I think the people out there that are taking it seriously um, are doing the right thing. Here's
Hmm.
what I think, actually, Kyrus, so this
Hmm.
is that we're all adapting to our new normal, right?
Yes.
Like if you travel to Japan, everybody wears face masks there,
Hmm.
and that's culturally like something that they do. And I mean, not everybody by and large, but it's a thing.
Hmm.
So I think we just have to adapt that. Okay, if we want to go to the doctor, we wear a mask. If we want to go to the grocery store, we wear a mask. If like this is the way that we have to figure out how to work with the pandemic, because it is real. Um, so I think that's how we have to take it serious. And I don't think that those folks are overreacting.
Right. What is there any kind of thing that you wish you could tell people about COVID-19, just to, like just one thing that you don't feel either people talk about enough or take seriously enough? If there was one thing that you could say to people right now that are listening about COVID-19 and the severity of it, what would you say?
You don't want to be in a position where where you're basically, you can't breathe and you're begging not to die.
Yeah.
You don't want to have that. You don't want to be there. And you know what? You don't know. We're not future tellers. Fortune tellers. We can't say, oh, this is going to affect you, like it's going to kill you. But if it is you who has COVID, you 100% don't want to die. And those young kids that have died from it, who had no previous medical condition, no pre-existing medical condition, they had no fucking idea that like this
Hmm.
would be their last year on earth. Like, it is serious, and it can make people so sick. And I promise you, you do not want to be there. And I have seen those patients, and it is sad. It is scary. Their family members can't see them. Like, can you imagine? Like, you 100% don't want to do this. You don't want to
Hmm.
have this experience, for
Right.
sure.
What is it like working on the front lines?
Um, I mean, it's changed a lot in the last year. Like, I work in critical care medicine, so I have always worked with really sick patients. But this year has totally changed us, we, like, I could see the pandemic coming in closer and closer and closer. And, I knew at some point it would come and I'd have to face it. And all of us felt this way. And it was really scary. It was really fucking scary. And especially when it first came around, we would, even in the hospital, like, we weren't doing things like universal masking, and we weren't routinely testing everybody. And so it was always like, oh shit, I was just in that patient's room and now they're testing them for COVID, and now am I going to get it? And am I going to give it to my husband? Am I going to give it to my family? It was, I think everybody out there would say that it's been really, really scary. We have now been in it for a while. And I think I would also say, it's been incredibly tragic, because during this time, most hospitals stopped allowing family members to visit. So if you were in the position where you actually needed to be in a hospital, you couldn't see your family. And then especially if you had COVID and you were dying, your family couldn't come see you. So like, you know, I have definitely taken care of COVID patients. I haven't had to have anybody say goodbye via iPad, but many of my friends have had to do that. And it's 100% traumatizing.
On the upside, do you feel hopeful for for how far we've come along and what the future holds? Do you get any sense of, do you see any light at the end of the tunnel for any of this?
I mean, I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just thinking about this. There's a nursing colleague of mine who was talking about this post-traumatic growth that after they experience, I should just say her name is Liz Bridges, she's a PhD, she's amazing. But this period of post-traumatic growth, which is basically after this intense period of trauma and burnout and compassion fatigue, we can experience this growth. And I think we're maybe there because now it's been like 7 months. We've all adapted. I mean, all of us have learned to adapt. I mean, now we, like, oh, okay, they're COVID, we got to do these certain precautions and blah, blah, blah. Now, like, numbers are sort of plateauing or going down where I am. And I think we're just learning to deal with this on a regular basis. However, what I would say is I'm hopeful for a vaccine. I'm hopeful. I read an article recently that said with everybody who does wear a mask, like I wear a mask and you wear a mask, like the possibility that we're getting inoculated with like a tiny dose of COVID and then we create an immune response could make us have antibodies to it. So like that's quite hopeful that maybe it will be less severe for a lot more people.
Right.
That brought me a lot of hope.
Yeah. I asked that also because, I mean, one of the first, I guess, severe outbreaks that we heard of for COVID-19 earlier this year was in Washington State.
Yeah.
And I remember reading a lot of the articles about that being in Washington, and I remember being like, oh man, I hope it doesn't come over here.
Yeah.
Hope it stays over there. And but little did we know, it was already here.
It was. It was everywhere.
It was already here. It just happened to be a major outbreak. And also we just didn't understand, I guess, at the time, like that people did have it and they were suffering from it, but the doctors and people didn't even know to think of it. And they were still thinking, oh, this was something that was over in China. And, it maybe, hopefully it doesn't come over here, but like it was already here. Yeah.
I think back to late February when this outbreak started here in Seattle. I remember I was still going out. Like I was going to a bar, I was going, drinks after work. And like, it's amazing and quite lucky that, I didn't get it because it was out and about at that point in time. Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate you taking like the time to sit and talk about COVID because like I know that's not like the easiest of topics to talk about, but I want to make sure that I get like some information out there to the people that listen to my podcast about how important it is to stay safe about all of this. But I do want to talk about you as well, just you as a person. When did you know that you wanted to be a nurse and you wanted to help people? This is slightly a convoluted story, but I had kind of thought about it when I was a young kid. And then when I was in college the first time, I was just kind of having a difficult time pinning down what it was I really wanted to do. And I decided I kind of became a terrible student on the last year. I was doing a sociology degree. And I was like, maybe I should try nursing. And so anyway, I bounced around and decided, God, I just need to get out of school. If I want to go back, I'll go back to school. A couple years go by. And then I was and in a job that I hated. Like I ended up in this job that just destroyed my soul. It wasn't that bad, but I just didn't feel like I was giving enough, and I wasn't reaching my full potential. And in that time period, I took a trip by myself, took a solo trip to Mexico, traveled around, and everybody asked me like what I did, you know, and they're like, who are you? Where are you from? And what do you do? You know, in Spanish. But,
That's one thing I'm not good at Spanish at all. I took French. I took French my entire life, so Spanish is just like I'm terrible.
On va parler en français.
Oh, I love it. Wait, hold on. Je m'appelle Kyrus. Oh man, now you put me on the spot, and now I'm just like. Ah.
I don't speak French very well anymore, but I also speak French. But I realized every time I had to say what it was, and I was a billing coordinator, not something terrible. I just wasn't like I didn't really do anything that was like I had felt good about. So I came home from that trip and I was like, damn it, I'm going back to nursing school. And so I did, and that was a really meaningful process for me. And then, you know, as I was in nursing school and then started to work with patients, and you know, it was just very clear, like this was what I was supposed to do.
Right. And you've been doing it ever since, and now you ended up starting a podcast where you get to share some of the stories that you experience. Because I know a couple nurses, I know a couple doctors that I'm really good friends with, and I sometimes hear some of the stories that they have, and I'm just fascinated because like the things that you have to deal with and see on a daily basis. It's like when I think of going to the hospital, like I don't think of going to the hospital a lot, right? Because I don't want to, because like that's scary. The last time I was in the hospital, I ruptured my Achilles, and yeah, it was awful, like complete rupture, like it was awful. Couldn't walk for a while. It was so bad. That was the last time I was in the hospital, and that was like one day. And then like I was in the hospital, did a couple of doctor's visits, and then I had surgery, and then I didn't go back at all. But you're there every day, and you see this kind of stuff every day. And now you get to share some of these stories, and you meet so many people. What is that like to just be there daily and seeing the things that you see?
Well, I'm going to be honest. I'm definitely in the right place, because there are a lot of times where I'm like, I pinch myself because I'm like, this place is so cool, you know? But you have to be the right personality for that. But like we meet people at these crossroads, and either it's just really bad luck, really terrible, you know, maybe some poor outcomes of an unhealthy lifestyle or whatever. But we meet people like in their most vulnerable times. And then also like it's the most craziest things happen to people. And so I would say it's totally fascinating. It, you know, it really does help me feel, I don't know, there's something so amazing about being able to connect with a patient and offer them what they need and be there for them. But then on the flip side, we also get to be a part of some really exciting things, life-saving things, and groundbreaking work. And so that's also like so exciting. But you know, a lot of times we're like, oh my God, you can't make this shit up.
I honestly can't even imagine. So can you give an example for those of the people that are listening right now that is like, oh, I might want to check out, you know, her podcast and things like that. Can you give an example of like the types of stories that you tell on your show?
Yeah, you know, I'm gonna be totally honest with you. I thought my podcast was gonna be a lot lighter and a lot funnier, and it's still funny. But it because we deal with life and death so much, and because we're complex humans, we have lots of emotions about these things. We're not robots. We, you know, see and witness a bunch of terrible stuff also. Like it's become quite nuanced and heavy, and can be heavy. It's not always heavy, but you know, I talked to one of my good friends at work, and he he talked about how, being in the COVID ICU for 2 months, how that affected him and how that affected
Mm-hmm.
his family, and how and how just tragic that was for him. But and then I talked with one of my other friends, Des, about what it felt like to have a young girl on comfort care for the first time as a brand
Yeah.
new nurse. So there's definitely some funny stuff in there, but what I realized is that as we're humans working with humans, like it's like it's hard to laugh, to only laugh, because there's a lot of pain behind the laughter, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds kind of cheesy, but
No, it's true. I hear you. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
hmm it's funny because you mentioned meeting people at like a crossroads, right? Like
Mhm.
when they're most vulnerable, and I feel like that has been honestly the theme of 2020. Since a lot of us obviously are working from home, and
Mhm.
we're even though we're all in our individual pods right now, we're more connected than ever. And I think you and I are a perfect example of that, because like we met via the TikTok,
TikTok.
right? And like I don't know if our paths would have ever crossed.
Right.
I'm not saying that it wouldn't have, but
Yeah.
like TikTok surely made it easy, and that's legit how this whole thing even happened in the first place. And we meet people in like this, like the craziest of ways, and like the most interesting of times. And like I'm really thankful for that, because over the last like 6, 7 months, I have met so many people from around the world, people like you that are, working the front lines, and I get to learn things that I would have never thought about. I get to speak with people that I probably would have never talked with before. And so like this kind of stuff fascinates me,
Mm.
that this Jersey boy gets to, gets to sit and have a chat with the nurse from Seattle, Washington, just on the whim, because we just happened to cross paths on TikTok. How long have you been on TikTok?
I think since April. I just have
Yeah.
to say, dividends of TikTok right
Yeah.
here, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I totally was like I'm gonna snoop, and then I was like,
Yeah.
maybe I'll make my first video, and anyway, yeah, so since April.
Yeah. Yeah. And how has it like affected you like since then?
Um, it's been liberating,
Yeah.
I guess. I guess, a lot of there's just TikTok is kind of like people just being silly. It's like I feel like it's like being silly in your bathroom,
Yeah.
Like,
That's literally all of my TikToks, all of them. It's like just
and we're just all a bunch of dorks, but like we
yeah.
make each other. Not really. I mean, I just feel like you just get to be yourself
Yes.
and not give a fuck, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what's so fun about it. And like, would I ever put anything like I put on TikTok on my Instagram? No, never.
Totally
You know?
different audiences, right?
Yeah, like people on Instagram would be like, "What, is she okay?"
Is she okay? What is she doing? What is this?
Yeah.
Why is she doing this?
Yeah. You have quite a following on TikTok.
I would have never, honestly, it's not something I ever expected. Ever. Like I mean, I've always liked connecting with people. Like that's been my thing. Uh, ever since I actually, when I ruptured my Achilles, like that was the second of three major events that happened to me in 3 weeks during that time period of my life, and it changed my life. And that was fall of 2018, and then the February of 2019 is when I began the vibe with Kai, because I was in such a dark place
Yeah.
during that fall 2018.
Didn't someone pass that was close
Yeah,
to
yeah. So the first thing that happened, so my major relationship ended. A week later, I ruptured my Achilles, and then a week after that, my best friend passed away. Right, and then in the spring of in like I'm sorry, in June of 2019 is when my the person that I was seeing passed away. So like
you?
I have found myself in like these dark times, but And that's how the Vibe with Kai got started, because I knew that I wasn't the only person that was having difficulty navigating these difficult emotional and physical waters. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know what to do, but I knew that I wasn't alone. And I wanted to make sure that other people knew that they weren't alone. And
Mm-hmm.
like that has been so much fun and so invigorating and so humbling. And I'm thankful for that. But with all that being said, I would have never thought that like a bunch of people would just be like, I'm going to follow you and everything that you do now. And I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do. But it's like, it's a very humbling experience to just have the people that support me. It's very humbling.
Well, you definitely put out for those of you that haven't seen you on TikTok, you're an awesome dancer.
I can move to the rhythm. I can't dance like some of the people that are on TikTok that are dancing. I can't do that. Like they're good. I do the simple dances.
I think I've yet to do a dance.
You
I can
should.
dance, but
You should just, you know what? Just put it out there. No
okay,
judgment. No
today.
judgment. I'm so like I'm really happy that we got to sit and chat. And I guess for anybody out there that's listening right now that is feeling down about 2020, about the pandemic, about their health, about whatever that they're feeling right now in 2020, because in a lot of people's brains, like 2020, like they like screw 2020. I don't want to think about 2020. I mean, my mindset is 2020 is what you make of it, right? But that's
Mhm.
besides the point. But for anybody out there that is listening to you right now, that may be feeling down about the pandemic and their health and all of that, what would you say to them right now?
Well, a lot of people think that 2020 is actually a year of a global awakening, of this amazing opportunity that we're all 100% in this together and having a total reset. So I would say that it's an opportunity to try to find the light within the dark.
Yeah.
Um, and the other thing I would say was I was listening to someone in a podcast recently talk, and he was so poetic. Like he just said, our ancestors have gone through hard times.
Mm.
They've gone through very challenging times, and they are rooting for us. And we can do it. We can get through it too.
And we will.
Yeah, and we will.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so happy. I'm so happy that we got to connect and got to sit and chat. Friends, go listen to her podcast, the Found Down podcast. You can listen to it on all the major it's on like Apple's podcasts and Spotify, like anything that you listen to podcasts on, it is on there. If people want more of you, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at NicoleJohnson.rn. You can find me, I have two websites actually, founddownpodcast.com. And then I do actually host small virtual wellness retreats for nurses called unwoundretreats.com. So
Nice.
yeah. So you can find me in various different ways. And I'm on Facebook, but there's a lot of Nicole Johnson.
There's not too many Kyruses, but there might be a couple of
Right.
Nicole Johnsons.
I'll friend you on Facebook,
Yeah.
and then you'll be able to tag me.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely will. No, honestly, thank you so much for sitting with me. So go follow her, go listen to her podcast. I promise you're not going to be disappointed. And if you want to, if you feel so obliged, you can also follow me on my social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at The Vibe with Kai. You can also follow me on TikTok and on Snapchat at Kyrus Keenan. And you can visit my website, thevibewithkai.com, where I'm always posting blogs and videos and things that'll help you do good, feel good, be good, and live a good life full of good vibes. Nicole Johnson, my friend. We're friends now. It's official.
Yeah. If I come to New Jersey, I'm gonna look you up, man.
Yes.
Same. Come to Seattle, look me up.
Absolutely. I live right outside of Philadelphia, so like I can like see the Philadelphia skyline. Like it's right there.
Cool.
Yeah. So like I come on over. Okay. I will happily show you. Have you been out east before?
No. I mean, to New York, yes, but
Okay.
not Philly.
Come to Philly.
I've been to Jersey, but yeah.
Oh, come on over. And I've never been to Seattle, but I've heard great things about Seattle. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna come to Seattle. I heard that you might have a couple Starbucks out there or something.
Mm,
So a couple of Starbucks, a couple of Amazons, a couple of things just
right,
laying
right.
around. I will definitely come visit. Nicole, thank you again for sitting with me. Everybody else, enjoy the rest of your day. I love y'all.
Yeah.
God bless and good vibes.